Hey guys, Mr. Mike here. Today we're going to be reading Understanding Insects as Friends or Foes. Now, before we get started with reading it, as always, we're going to skim the text because that's something that we're going to be doing when you take the PARCC test or when you take tests in the future, or when you take an ANET. You want to skim through it, get an idea for what you're reading, and then you go through and read it and take your notes using your genre-based thinking jobs. Now, while you're going through and you're skimming over it, be looking for those key story elements that we know each genre has. What's included in nonfiction? What's included in fiction? Do I see headings? Do I see dialogue? Do I see dates? Do I see key terms? Do I see illustrations? Do I see diagrams? Be thinking about all that as you skim over it. Take the next 10 seconds and do that. So, after looking it over, you should have identified that this was a nonfiction text. The way that I knew that was that at the top it says by the Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. That tells me that that's a government agency. Okay, that's a real thing. And also in there, I see different headings. I see terms being used. I don't see dialogue. I don't see any illustrations. So I knew that it must be a nonfiction text. Now, because that is a nonfiction genre, there are 3 genre-based thinking jobs. I want you to take the next 5 seconds, think about what those are. And you should have figured out that it was topic, what is the text teaching you, and what is the author's point of view. Now, there's been some discrepancies with point of view, so I'm going to be going over that after we read, just to kind of help you guys, give you some little tips with it. Now, before we get started reading, have your scrap sheet of paper folded into your 4 squares. On the top left, you're going to have the title, your TTPOV, and then underneath it, you're going to have your notes section. And remember, you want to take good notes because the better notes that you take, the easier it's going to be for you when you're doing your genre-based thinking jobs and when you're going through to write your paper and answering your questions. Okay, because a good note taker means they were using their brain, they were reading, they were engaged, they were comprehending everything that was being given to them. Now, I am now going to read the story, and while I'm reading, I've got a couple questions that I'm going to be asking and be using those questions to help guide you in your notes, guide you with your genre-based thinking jobs, okay? I gave these questions for a reason. Think about them as they relate to the story. So I'm going to go ahead and start reading now. Understanding Insects as Friends or Foes by Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. Insects can be found nearly everywhere. Some insects are helpful to people. Other insects are harmful and cause damage to trees and crops. Farmers and gardeners need to know which insects are friends and which are not. Insects can carry diseases, damage crops, make fruits or vegetables look bad, and can even destroy entire crops, which limits the amount of food available for people and animals to eat. Integrated Pest Management, or IPM, is a pest management system that focuses on managing pests with the least possible impact on people, property, and the environment. Farmers use tools like crop rotation, sprays, or good bugs to help their crops. Using traps, scouting, and identifying insects, and controlling bugs are all important tools for farmers to use. Now, I want you to be thinking about, based off the title and the opening paragraph, what do you think is the big topic so far that we're going to be discussing? Take the next couple seconds to think about that. Farmers/growers use. Chemical crop sprays or powders. Farmers use as little as needed to protect the environment and to protect the water and food supplies. Pesticide applications are a useful tool when applied according to the label instructions by registered and certified pesticide applicators. Crop rotation. Farmers do not grow the same crop every year, but instead rotate which crops they plant in each field. For instance, one year a farmer may grow a field of corn. The next year, the farmer may grow alfalfa hay in that field. Farmers do this because certain bugs like certain crops. By growing different crops year after year, bugs will leave. Crop rotation is a common practice on sloping soils because of its potential for saving soil. Rotation also reduces fertilizer needs because alfalfa and other legumes replace some of the nitrogen corn and other grain crops remove. With crop rotation, pesticide costs may be reduced by naturally breaking the cycles of weeds, insects, and diseases. As added benefits, grass and legumes in a rotation protect water quality by preventing excess nutrients or chemicals from entering water supplies. Meadow or small grains cut soil erosion dramatically, and crop rotations add diversity to a farming operation. Good insects. Farmers also use good or beneficial insects to protect their crops and get rid of harmful insects. Some insects can do a lot of damage to crops and orchards. An insect's worst enemies are other insects. Of the millions of insects that eat animals instead of plants, most feed on other insects. Using insects to control insects is called a biocontrol method. Biological control is the use of naturally occurring organisms that act as natural enemies to the pests in question. These approaches to pest management may be used to reduce pesticide use. The introduction and encouragement of natural predators is a highly effective method of controlling many bugs. Some quick biocontrol definitions. Pest, an unwanted insect or weed. Pathogen, bacterium or fungus that causes disease in a pest. Parasite, an insect that feeds on a living pest. And predator, an insect that eats pests. When used effectively, biocontrol methods can be a safe and effective approach to pest management. Now, why do you think the author included the section, Good Insects? Be thinking about that, take a note based on that. Scouting, trapping. Farmers must watch their fields or orchards closely. Farmers look on the leaves of the trees or plants for bugs. This is called scouting. To help find the insects, farmers use traps. When pests are found that could damage the crop, the farmers must choose the best way to get rid of the pest. Traps are hung in the fruit trees, in greenhouses, and on posts in fields for other crops. A scent called a pheromone is used inside the trap. This attracts the bugs to the trap. The trap is sticky inside, so when the bugs fly into the trap to smell the pheromone, they get stuck. Killing the adult bugs stops the cycle of egg laying or larval development and reduces pest populations. Sometimes farmers need help identifying the insects they find, so they use a key or a guide. A key uses color, the number of legs or other things to identify what bug they have found. How does this connect to what we've read so far? Think about how that section adds or gives you an alternate viewpoint based on everything else that we've read. Take the next couple seconds to think about that. In addition to the pest management tools listed above, keeping things clean goes a long way toward reducing pest problems, especially indoor pests like cockroaches, ants, and houseflies. Cleanliness is also important on farms for pest control, especially around feed piles and manure-prone areas. The most important thing you can do to control bugs is to learn as much as you can about the life cycle and preventative treatments for bugs that are bugging you. Now I want you to think about how these last two paragraphs help us to move forward with our thinking towards what you thought the big topic was. So how do these last two paragraphs add or make you change your idea about the big topic? Take the next couple seconds to think about that as well. So now that we've finished the story, you got to think about what the author's point of view was. Jackster, hey, no barking. Sorry guys, my puppy's thinks he can growl at the people outside. So as I was thinking, or as I was saying, think about what the author's point of view was. Think about all your different genre-based thinking jobs with that. And you're going to use all this information to answer your multiple choice questions in your extended race response at the end. But before we move on, I got one little last thing for you. We've had some problems with point of view, so pay close attention. I'm going to help kind of clarify this for you. Author's point of view talks about what the author's viewpoint is, or the stance that the author takes on the topic, okay, their perspective. How do they view it? Why did they say the things that they said? What were they trying to get you to do or think? By analyzing what the facts and details given in the text are, a reader can determine the author's point of view. Why were certain facts given? Why were certain headings used? Why were certain paragraphs put in and not others? Everything that the author put in their article was for a set reason, and that was to help convey their point of view. So you have to look at the details to decide on it. And remember that the point of view is something that is found in every paragraph of the reading. Okay? So whatever you pick as the author's point of view and topic, that means that I can read any section of the article and come to the same conclusion for every paragraph. That they all point to the same idea or thought. If it does not apply to every paragraph, then it is not the author's point of view. Okay, so everything that they put in there was for a set reason. And if what you think is the point of view or the topic, and it does not relate to every paragraph, then that's not it. Okay, you got to think about what is relatable between every section. How does every section come to one specific idea or concept? Okay, and on the next slide, I have two different anchor charts to help you guys with point of view and perspective. So, hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you guys tomorrow.